Okay, let's see. Greetings, adventurers. Well, unfortunately, because of a last-minute change of plans tonight with some sick kiddos for one of my remaining players, we had to table tonight's game until after Easter. So, short notice, but it happens. You know, we just gotta roll with the punches. And so tonight I'm going to spend some time doing a little campaign building and fleshing out of NPCs in my virtual tabletop. So just hanging out and chatting tonight. Streaming a little different this evening in that I'm using my desktop. Rocky deciding to scratch back there. You can hear his collar rattling and jingling. Boy, don't act like you got something biting on you. You're on medication for that. Anyways, streaming from my desktop tonight instead of my laptop, and so my audio is acting stupid, so we're using the webcam's microphone, so hopefully that's not too bad. Did put a little thematic music on for Tomb of Annihilation for the city of Mbala in the background. And we have a pup visiting already. He's coming to aggravate. Hi, baby. You hear the animals and the jungle sounds, don't you? Is that what has your attention? You hear the monkeys? You hear the monkeys? He's looking for him. He's looking under my desk, looking behind my monitor. Where are they? Rocky? Where are those critters at? Huh? Where are those critters? Can you find them? Can you find them? There they go again. You hear them? He's whining because he can't hear the critters. Or can't find the critters. My poor pup. He gets tortured regularly. Okay. So, change of plans tonight. And of course next weekend is Easter weekend, so we will not have a game next weekend. I will probably even go as far as taking a break from streaming next Saturday, just to catch a break. We've been doing this kind of steadily for 3 months. Oh, really? Minus a Saturday here and there, so. Anyways, so I've got my full Fantasy Grounds loaded up so you can see it. And I'm working on some Outskirts and Outpost Common Folk. So let's start putting some people together here, shall we? That's a weird quote for a doctor, but okay. So if you haven't identified this person, he appears as a well-built man shrouded in a black cloak. Vague enough for you? Let's see. Size is going to be medium. Humanoid, because he is human. Alignment, because I like to flesh things out. Chaotic. Neutral. We're not going to worry about stats for him, because he's really going to be one of those vanilla NPCs. Let's see if copy paste between Acrobat and Fantasy Grounds is going to play nice tonight. My mouse movement is being really jerky. between the two systems on the KVM, so... For the perceptive, what can you tell us about Dr. Feldman Drain? This man has a few stains on his hips where he's wiped his hands. Probably blood. Okay, what are his wants and needs? What motivates this dude? Alright. What is his secrets or obstacle? What stands in his way, or what skeletons has he got in his closet? Dr. Grain has discovered something unsettling about the stool of the area's few residents. It's alive. Okay, that's just nasty. And what goodies is he carrying? $4 coppers. 31 silver, a satchel holding his medicine and herbalism kits, 5 rations, and 3 samples of what he calls bad BMs. Okay, that's just TMI. Rocky's over here going nuts because the monkeys and the chittering and the whatsits in the music I've selected. Does your daddy need to put some different music on because of you? Huh? Oh, are you the hap? Look at that smile. Such a happy puppy. I call him a puppy. He'll be 8 years old this year. Yeah. Him is the hap. Yes. Okay. He's still looking behind my desk for the monkeys. Okay, let's lock Dr. Gray. Alright. And let's add Roger Bix. And that reminds me, I have 2 NPCs of my own. To put into the system, because I have 2 that our beloved adventurers encountered, called Greasy Greg and Roger the traveling supply man, for lack of a better term. I mean, basically he's Roger's traveling trading post, if you will. And I'm going to have some fun with him, because I'm going to have to build out some stats for his giant bulls. We're going to call them dire bulls that are pulling his wagons. Okay, but Roger Bix in this case is not my Roger. This is just a Roger. Okay. And yes, copy and pasting between a PDF and Fantasy Grounds is a big time saver. Otherwise, I would be typing all of this crap in by hand, which is kind of how I started on this quest. But it's not how I planned on ending it once I figured out that I could copy paste between the 2 machines. via my KVM. For the insight. So this is kind of cool because these little for the attributes for each of these NPCs, if a player makes an insight check, then I'm going to tell them this next little bit of text. Or if it's for the perceptive and they roll a perception check, then I'm going to give them the flavor text for that perception check if they pass it. It's kind of cool because you have for the devout, for the roguish, for the barbaric, for the martially inclined, for your fighters. So you can really kind of flesh out your NPCs. Oh, I've already copied this. We are now doing his wants and needs. So, a man with matted hair and grubby hands whose clothes have a thick layer of caked dirt all about them, holding arms full of seemingly useless junk. Roger Bix knows money is only as good as what you can buy with it, and if there's nothing to buy, well, good luck eating your gold, buddy. His expertise is in scrap, salvage, seeds, pieces of parts, tiny tools, and big spell components. The stuff you forgot to grab on your way into the wilderness, but now realize you might die without. He wanders the region taking odd jobs, asking for payment in food and drink or stuff, and has subsisted solely off the barter system for nearly 2 decades. You know what? This is actually a close match to my Roger because he doesn't actually sell things from the traveling trading post. He prefers to trade. He will buy and sell, but he prefers purely to trade. So it's kind of funny that I'm running into a written NPC that matches something that I homebrewed, you know, out of whole cloth for my campaign. Also tells you great minds think alike. What is Roger's secret or obstacle? So what we're doing is we are building out NPCs from a book. It is the Game Master's book of non-player characters. There are 500 NPCs in this book, some of which have full-on stat blocks. And I've been basically pulling all of this into my campaign database or my NPC database in Fantasy Grounds. That way I can create really engaging or immersive environments with different NPCs as my players are traveling and, you know, in cities and towns and villages, or even just out on the mountain roads and trails of the kingdom. So this has been something that has been really helpful for me as a GM. It's been a real time saver. I don't rely on it entirely. Because I do like to roll some of my own stuff. A former member of a far-off royal council, Roger suffered a night terror and strangled his wife in her sleep. He left the continent, has been on the move ever since. Okay. And what is our good friend Roger carrying? A stock of random goods at DM discretion, including a shoehorn, a whetstone, a dog whistle, the hilt to a magical blade, a hot water bottle, a bedroll, a bag of ball bearings, a half-burned candle, a quill and ink, I guess that should say set, spellbook pages, and a sketch of a woman stained with tears. Wow, he is just one sad individual. Okay, who's after Roger Bix? The family of his deceased wife is probably after Roger Biggs. That's why he left the continent. Jack with a nickname of Rabbit, so Jack Rabbit. Okay. Lars Oath. Okay. An older man in peasant's clothing. I cannot spell peasant to save my life tonight. Humanoid, because he is human. Chaotic neutral. Okay. What's his quippy one-liner? Jack Rabbit. That's me. Okay. An energetic older man in peasant's clothes with a gray beard and a large leather patch over his left eye. Okay. That would almost be his non-ID description, followed by his main description. Jack Rabbit is a wanderer, but a regular at the various small villages and outposts in his region. Known for being somewhat eccentric, he tends to hop from place to place. In reality, he's as sharp as a tack. He seems unable and unwilling to sit still or stay in one spot. Okay, wants and needs. And then we're going to do secret. Obstacle. And what is he carrying? Okay. But first, we need to do for the perceptive. What is his perceptive blurb? Oh, his eye patch is somewhat oversized and crudely made. I'm sure my players are going to scoff at that. It's like, really? That's what we get for rolling a perception check? Yeah, you know, sometimes it's not a winner. What can I say? Alrighty. Ooh, I might need to water the water down a little bit more. Put one of those blue ocean water flavor pouches in it. It's a tad strong, even though it's a 16-ounce bottle. Jack would love to settle down in a small town, but has a profound fear of his prize being discovered. What is Jack's prize? That must be his secret. Jack's prize is a large red ruby which he hides beneath a homemade eye patch. Well, that explains why it's oversized. Left behind in the bar he used to own, the gem's value was immediately apparent. Rather than try and find the owner, Jack Rabbit shut his bar down and hit the road. Unfortunately, because the gem is a powerful arcane focus, it's only a matter of time before the mage who lost it locates this rabbit on the run. Oh yes. What does our friend Jack carrying in addition to a very potent, valuable magic gem. 14 coppers, 26 silver, a hunting knife, a backpack with 2 weeks worth of food and water, and a large red ruby worth 1,000 gold pieces. Okay. Who is next after our buddy Jackrabbit? Oh, Rocky's decided to take a nap behind me, which is always good. I'm going to move this book out of my way because I keep bumping it. It's at my left-hand side here where I'm trying to type. Okay. Aggie run. Humanoid. Okay. Her short description. And then her bigger description. Oops. Okay, for the perceptive. Okay, but I still want to read that block. A skunk-haired woman with a sturdy frame whose clothing, a bluish skirt, rust tunic, brown boots, and a gray-green shawl looks fourth hand. An occasional midwife to some of the settlers here, Aggie Hrund is stubborn as they come. She spends most of her free time on long walks, preferring the company of birds and bees to most of humanity. I like her already. In spite of herself, she does love the sound a baby makes when it exhales that first eruptive cry, just about the only thing that has kept her from retreating fully into the wilderness. She wanders the region, making house calls as needed, ensuring that even in the harshest of conditions, newborn children receive a bit of tender care. So, an antisocial midwife. Gotcha. If somebody makes a perception check, a faint glow can occasionally be seen from the breast pocket of Aggie's tunic. Okay. What are her wants and needs? Aggie's been made aware of a half-orc woman in a hovel a few miles upriver who is expecting quintuplets. She's certain they'll arrive any day now, but is having trouble making it through orc territory. Okay. Secret or obstacle? Here we go. This is where things look like they're going to get interesting. The crystal Aggie carries in her breast pocket is possessed by an angry fey creature trapped by the power of a magic jar spell gone awry. Once per full moon, this spirit attempts to possess a creature within 30 feet of the crystal. Thus far, Aggie has proven a little too thick-headed for the spirit to take root. Interesting. Don't hang out with this chick on a full moon if you have a low intelligence or wisdom score. You might be on the receiving end of an angry fae. Why are so many fae angry? A crystal possessing the soul of a Fomorian. Okay. Sorry, I've got something in my eye. Let's see, where are we at? We are still trekking through the commoners. Open man. And a green brown cloak. Medium humanoid wood elf. Actually, I'm picking up a hint of drow based on this description. Okay. Dark-skinned elven man whose tired eyes are mostly hidden by a mop of silver hair, wearing a cloak that blends with the landscape, a full satchel over his shoulder, and a short quarterstaff in his right hand. And his full description is what gave me the immediate impression of drow. Let's read this to you. Sorry, the copy paste requires a little bit of reformatting to make it usable. For the roguish, here you go. So a rogue that runs some kind of perception or insight check on this individual is going to pick this up. But here we go. Having escaped the realm below this one not long ago, Gamble and Thrello always keeps one eye at his back and another fixed on the road ahead. His desire to see the world above far outweighing his fear of the consequences for leaving, Gamble left his family's deep-side lair under cover of darkness and hasn't returned. Sure, they could be looking for him, or maybe they're all spider bait. Either way, he doesn't care. He knows the sun's heat could eventually kill him, but he's always been able to find plenty of shade, and would rather die in a field of green than wrapped in a gauzy cocoon. He's made a name for himself as a delivery boy, well, delivery man, for some of the most dangerous members of the realm's criminal underground, but calls this outpost home. No matter how deep into the figurative underworld he descends, Gamble knows he could always be deeper. There we go. That's an interesting NPC. Probably one of the more interesting ones I've read out of this book in a while. For the roguish. The marks in Gamble's quarterstaff are in Thieves' Cant and relay that his life is vouchsafed in every realm on the continent by the Assassin's Guild. Interesting. Wants and needs. What are Gamble's wants and needs? Gamble has a baseline of deliveries he must make and is a bit behind due to the weather. He'll need to double time it to get where he's heading and isn't afraid to quote-unquote borrow a mount. Okay. Secret or obstacle. Okay, here's where it's going to get interesting. What is following our friend around? Well, the last text I copied, unfortunately. While he left much of his family behind, Gamble incidentally brought numerous egg sacs with him on his journey out of the dark, dropping clutches of soon-to-be giant spiders and ettercaps along his route. Oh, that's lovely. Did he know he did this? Did he do this willingly? Carrying. Alright, let's see what goodies he has on him besides his quarterstaff. $31 copper, 9 silver. A satchel of letters bearing the seals of the gutter snipes, the gulls, the rich poormen, and the alewives, all prominent criminal enterprises in the realm, as well as other letters at GM discretion. A clutch of giant spider eggs stuck to his pant leg. Oh, so he doesn't know that he's dropping nasties off everywhere he goes. How unpleasant. Alrighty. After Gamble. Thomas. Peeping Tom. Ogden. And wearing a hooded cloak, covered in vegetation. Chaotic neutral based on this description. Okay. young human man with a greasy face wearing a hooded cloak covered in local vegetation that acts as improvised camouflage, and a spyglass hanging from a bit of rope around his neck. As a child of one of the king's most celebrated concerts, Thomas spent much of his time out of sight. With access to the Lady Hoxandola's Adventurers Archive, as well as the court's expansive trove of adult literature, Thomas, Peeping Tom Ogdenbill's obsession with the boundless bestiaries penned by some of the realm's bravest explorers collided with his burgeoning hormonal desires, and he lit out on his own to study the natural urges of the natural and supernatural world. Given the fact that he has occasionally been tempted to turn his examining eye on the area's humanoid denizens, some are of the opinion that he's less monstrous morphologist and more privacy-piercing pervert. Okay, tell me how you really feel. Or the perceptive. Thomas is hiding a nasty wound on his forearm that appears recent. For the medically trained, that would be your clerics, your physicians, your barbers of the day. The wound is definitely infected with a preternatural illness. Uh-oh. What's going to happen with this dude? Okay, wants and needs. Thomas is looking for leads on where he could find some monstrous mistresses. A scintillating centaur, a happening harpy, a naughty gnoll, a demure dryad, even a shapely sprite or a perky pixie. A body behir, perhaps? Yeah, I think I'm going to side with the privacy-piercing pervert comment from earlier based on this. Secret or obstacle? Okay, here's where it's going to get interesting. While observing a sladey seduction up close, Thomas was injured and contracted a disease known as chaos phage. Without intervention, he will transform into a red slade in the next 24 hours. Oh, nice. Kill it! That's what my murder hobos would say. Oh, here comes my girl. Is it time for a puppy break? $11 copper, 6 silver, a spyglass, a bedroll, an in-progress manuscript. Thomas Ogdenbill's The Little Deaths of Big Beasts, a field guide to creature copulation. Yeah, we'll stick with the pervert comment from earlier. What, mamas? What are you whining about, huh? Huh? What you whining about? Now the girl is coming to see me, so let's go see what she's up to. Hi. You come to get your attentions? Hmm? Yeah. You come to get some attentions? Yeah. Daddy girl. Daddy girl. Yeah. Oh, it's my daddy. Huh? Yeah, you good daddy. You hear the monkeys too? What is that? Huh? Oh Lord, now she's gonna go tell everybody. Alright, who's next? Well, first I need to take a drink of this water to wet my whistle. Nikki Basil. With Floyd the pig. A dirty halfling girl? Now, halflings are, what, medium or small? I think they are considered small. Okay. Just want to double check myself as I'm putting this together. Humanoid, halfling, chaotic evil. Okay. For a short description. A halfling fresh out of her adolescence who wears a look of suspicion, with her hair stuffed under an oversized knitted cap and joints and fingernails black with trapped dirt. A gray and black pig nearly twice her size and loaded up with supplies nuzzles at her for attention. Nikki Basil was once the epitome of a nice halfling girl, but she then fell in with the quote-unquote wrong crowd. Nikki and her friends, being so summarily dismissed from provincial norms by their neighbors, decided to embrace their title of bad apples. They committed every jape and misdemeanor they could think of, which included thieving a few herbs and spices from the local temple, substances from the halfling elders would call a bridge too far to cross to have a good time. The mushrooms Nikki discovered expanded her view of the world, so much so that she left home in an effort to help others expand theirs. With the help of her good pal Floyd, who can sniff out a single tantric truffle in a 5-mile radius, Nikki wanders the countryside looking for shrooms and astral curious adventurers intrigued enough to try them. Oh, this is funny. It is a shroom peddling halfling. Secrecy is important for Nikki while she is on the hunt for tantric truffles. If anyone found her hunting grounds, she could lose her exclusivity on them. Okay. Secret or obstacle? Other halfling bad apples Nikki used to hang around with just keep spoiling. and are now legit bandits and cutthroats. They call themselves the Halfway Men and would like to get their hands on Nikki's mushroom supply. Oh, here comes Sam. Okay. And truffles. Wondrous item. Very rare. Let's see what these things have to say for their stat information. Their flavor text, I guess we'll call it. Okay, these exotic fungi offer a passport to the astral plane. If ingested, a target must succeed on a DC 14 Constitution saving throw. On a success, the target is under the influence of the astral projection spell. On a failed save, the target is under the effect of the phantasmal killer spell, with the source of the frightening visions projected in the mind of the target entirely up to the GM's discretion. Oh, that's too funny. Okay. Let's take a short break, if we can. I've about doubled the number of folks into my database already. Let's take a short break, mute the mic, step away, run to the restroom, because I have been drinking water, and tend to some dogs. So I will be back shortly. Stay tuned. Back, and so been doing some really cool things. Before we segue back into the fun paperwork trail of building out NPC stats, I wanted to share two things with y'all. One is a wax melter for doing wax seals, and of course I bought a little stamper, so you got this little setup here. You put your little wax melts in the spoon, put a tea light underneath this. As you can see, it's kind of hollowed out underneath, and let it melt the wax melts, and then you pour that on a letter, and then you take the stamper and stamp it so it puts a seal. The seals I bought are all dragon shapes, heads and stuff, so that was something I bought for face-to-face gaming, for doing some cool stuff with my players. And so that's been added to my arsenal of goodies. And then the other thing is I have been bastardizing class folios. This is, as you can see, a Wizards of the Coast Druid folio, but it's in a 1/2-inch binder. And so these are rather cool. I'll share these with y'all. So for introducing the game to new players, we start out with the things I can do on my turn. It's kind of a cheat sheet, and that's in a page protector. And then, okay, that's all well and good, but what about in combat? Well, here's all the things you can do in combat. So I put a 2-page cheat sheet, and this is mainly for introducing new players to the game when we're doing face-to-face, because I'm getting ready to do a face-to-face game with a new group, and some of those will be new players. So, and then I have a section for character sheets. I have the 3-page format character sheet with several blanks in each insert. So, and then you got your spell casting if you're a spellcaster. So that's all well and good, but then I took the spellbook cards that they produce, that WizKids produces, or actually I think it's Gale Force 9, let me correct myself. And so since this is the Druid binder, this is all of the spells in the Druid deck of spellbook cards. I do have Xanthars here as well, but I haven't went through and put them in, and if I do, I'm not going to mix them with the core spells. I'll add them in as separate pages. So we got all the way up to level 9 as a druid. Some more blank page protectors. And then the really cool thing is so if you're doing a one-shot, a lot of one-shots, you don't want to take the time to, a lot of people don't want to take the time if they're just learning the game, or if they're just going to try the game for the first time. Creating a character can be a very time-consuming endeavor. So I went through and took some pre-generated character sheets and printed them. And so And in this case, we've got, I'm reading upside down here. Let me turn it so I'm not reading upside down. This is a 3rd level druid. It's actually a firebog. And then I've got a 2nd druid. Not the same one. It's just printed in black and white. But then I've got a, oh, here we go. We got a wood elf druid. Okay, so we've got another one. And then, so those are both 3rd level, but then I've got a human druid. I've got levels 1 through 10. So you could play any level druid 1 through 10 in a one-shot just to kind of learn the game. And I did these to kind of introduce new players, but also even existing players. This is kind of a great resource. And I just decided I was going to take the time and spend the money to build these out. And so I built one of these out for every single character class, from artificer to barbarian to bard, cleric, druid, fighter, all the way through your 13 main character classes. So I just wanted to share those with y'all tonight because I'm really kind of excited about those. They've been a lot of fun building out. They're on the bottom of my bookshelf. I've still got 4 that I'm trying to finish, being the artificer, the sorcerer, the wizard, and the warlock. But I had to order more spellbook cards, the arcane cards, to do them. And so I'm still waiting for those to come in so I can finish those. And then I realized that there's some specializations like the arcane trickster rogue. That this is a rogue that has access to a limited number of arcane spells. So I'm going to have to buy another box of arcane cards if I want to flesh that out to be infinitely useful. So anyways, just one of my projects as a DM I've been working on. I wanted to share with y'all. Other than just the constant online stuff, it's nice to gear up for some face-to-face stuff too. So, all right. That being said, let's jump back into building out some NPCs. Who are we doing next? Halstra Clover. Halstra. That's an interesting name. Oh, I love this quote. What are you, a poser? Can you be more insulting? Let's see. A young woman with high cheeks and fine elven features. A young elven woman in very old leather armor. Okay. Medium. Humanoid. Elf. I'm not going to say which kind of elf. We're just going to let that go. Oh, half wood elf. So I guess we're going wood elf then. It does say that in her description. Chaotic neutral. So far we've not run into anybody with a stat block tonight, so let's read this or add this flavor text for her short description, and I will read it since I know this is some tiny ass type to be trying to read on the screen on stream. A young woman with high cheeks and fine elven features and a body seemingly formed out of knotted wood and taut rope. She wears a permanent scowl as well as a very old set of leather armor. She's got a long description, which After I clean up the formatting, we will go through this just for kicks and grins to see what I think. Halstra Clover is a third-generation half-wood elf. Her great-grandmother Laurel settled down with her great-grandfather after she defended the village from goblin raiders. Laurel, being an adventurer, didn't stay for long, leaving her children behind. The Clovers and their kids became known as the hard-working, unrelenting farm folk in spite of the village murmuring about their wild bloodline. Another generation later, little Halstra grew sick of her family's reputation and the lack of opportunity within her village and decided to give the locals something meaningful to gossip about. She joined a caravan headed west without a care about its final destination. What she thought was a collection of adventurer types seeking danger turned out to be a sect of totalitarians. I guess we're trying to say Kuatoa totalitarians. Religious fundamentalists who worship whatever god the fishermen in the region have conjured into existence with their muck magic. Halstra is not impressed. Or the intuitive. Behind her judgmental exterior, Halstra is holding back excitement at seeing anyone who appears to be an adventurer. Okay. Wants and needs. Some real company. Okay, wants and needs. Halstra is looking for her great-grandmother Laurel so she can join her as a fellow adventurer. She recently found a buried bag of holding containing 500 GP and gems and believes it came from a fabled jewel coach robbery that occurred 20 years ago. She is cautious about this new wealth and is cognizant of the dangers it could bring. As a result, she doesn't carry it on her, but would try and trade parts of it for the opportunity to go on a legit adventure. Okay. Secret or obstacle. The Kua totalitarians have learned the fishmen of Dorkblarg have a new risen lord, Mactac the Morklark, and will soon take the caravan deep into the murk of the nearby Dorkblarg swamp. Who writes this shit sometimes? Okay, what is Halstra carrying? Three copper pieces, a small string-bound diary filled with fictitious adventures, a handcrafted short bow, and 3 arrows. Okay. Next. Guilford Brazenhand. A shirtless dwarf. A large shirtless dwarf. Okay. Humanoid. Dwarf. And what do we think his alignment is? Chaotic neutral. Yes, most commoners are chaotic neutral. Sorry to bore you all to death this evening. I bet my beard! I love it. Oops, wanted a talent's not underlined. Okay. Short descriptor. A shirtless dwarf of substantial size whose amber eyes stand out above a beard that blends almost seamlessly into a chest covered in pitch black hair, carrying an intimidating pole with a pickaxe on one end and a hammer on the other. One fact has always loomed over the dwarven race. Their lives are often longer than those of the mines in which they ply their trade. Years ago, Clan Brazenhand reached the end of their mine's precious stone deposits. The oldest and wealthiest were able to stay in their keep, but many, like Guilford, had to head out for work elsewhere. Guilford learned there's plenty of stones need moving and breaking, or breaking and moving above ground. Mountains are hard going, and he knows it's always helpful to have a dwarf ready to cleave them into submission. He hires himself out as a geomancer to trading companies in the realm, and even though his back is made for this sort of work, there's a part of his heart that's no longer in it. Okay, for the dwarven. Those familiar with dwarven stonework would know the cruel-looking implement Guilford carries around is primarily for splitting rock rather than skulls. Wants and needs. Come on, where's my cursor? Guilford is desperate for something to break up the monotony of breaking rocks. Whether darts or drinking, a long conversation with an elvish lady, or a kobold pauper, or simply stories containing the likes of gems or germs, he is looking for something to pass the time. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. And what is our dwarvish friend carrying? Oh, we still got to do secret or obstacle, don't we? Okay, Guilford just received a letter that is being let go from his current trading company, but is yet to open it. Once he does, he'll learn the group he was breaking rocks for scaled back their plans once they uncovered the Green Dragon Damascus's lair. Carrying 6 copper pieces, 4 silver pieces, 5 gold pieces, an unopened letter of dismissal, charcoal drawing of a dwarven family of 4, and an uncut sapphire worth 10 gold pieces. Okay. Okay. Okay, still got 10 more in this section to do. So this is about half of them right here. Okay. A tattooed half giant. And a leather tartan. Okay. Large. Humanoid. Alright. Oh, chaotic neutral. Let's go put some descriptors together. A statuesque, tattooed, and shockingly hairless half-giant who seems to be attempting to occupy as much space as possible with both his physique and voice, wearing a studded leather tartan and a sheath for his greatsword. Egrok doesn't remember how he ended up in the care of a carnival troupe or how he became known as K. Honestly, as a child, he was having too much fun to care. With more family than most could claim, K had a raucous upbringing. Even though he learned almost every trade in the carnival, his aptitude as a strongman became clear as he grew into his half-giant body. For years, the carnival made its way across the land, surviving more than thriving, but doing so happily. Until one day, a new routine of the carnival called the Aristocrats caught the ire of a nobleman who had many of the carnival incarcerated. Without proper organization, the carnival limped along and soon was bankrupt. But as they made their way to more and more remote mining and trading camps in search of paying gigs, Kay noticed how hungry people were for stories of heroism and daring. Developing the character of Cthulhu of the Hills, he struck off on his own to thrill audiences desperate to hear tales of man against beast. Okay, fair enough. Okay, for the martially trained. Martially. Egrok has shockingly few scars compared to the number of battles he claims he's seen. For the charismatic. You would hate to say Egrok is speaking too eloquently for a half-giant, but he definitely seems to be a trained orator. wants and needs. Egrok is looking for a new gimmick. He has grown tired of the Cthulhu the Hill shtick, and the decrease in coin he's been seeing says so is his audience. Maybe what crowds are looking for is realism. What if he just started attacking everyone in sight? Would that be enough to pry the elusive coin from their collective purses? Secret or obstacle? The noble that had the rest of Egrok's band locked up also has a bounty out for Egrok to the tune of 500 gold pieces. Okay. I don't know who outside has their music cranked up, but it's annoying as hell when I'm streaming. Okay. That takes care of Cthulhu the Hills. Egrok. Next. Luther Anvilson. Medium. Humanoid. Human. Chaotic neutral. There's work to be done. Okay. My mouse and keyboard switching is acting stupid. A barrel-thick gent who looks as if he spent his life crafting horseshoes or wagon wheels, or both simultaneously, with a completely bald head, thick bushy eyebrows, and curl-ended mustache, wearing a heavy leather apron and a grimy gold pendant over his worker's clothes. Alright. Luther Anvilson is what one might call a handy sort of fella, capable of shoeing a horse, hunting a turkey, or chopping down a tree as the situation may require. He's affable enough, but is nearly always coming from a job or on his way to one. Work is his religion, and he has no time or patience for the indolent or idle. Of course, this is the new Luther. The old Luther was decidedly different. Wants and needs. Alrighty. Though he's not sure why, Luther is driven to do work, sometimes for coin, other times for the thrill of a job well done. He even herds the sheep he counts in his dreams. He'd happily carry your bags to the nearest town for you, or build you an inn right here if you'd prefer. Okay, secret or obstacle. Luther was once a layabout who would barely lift a finger to help himself, let alone another person. When he came upon a tipped cart and refused to help lift off the family crushed beneath, he caught the ire of the gods. He was cursed with the mark of the Minotaur as punishment, and will endeavor to be productive until the day he dies, which could be very soon given the strain on his heart. Ah, so it's the medallion he's carrying that's cursed. Got it. Okay. Okay. A purple-haired half-elf in a clover-colored tunic, medium, humanoid. Elf. And what are we doing in terms chaotic good based on the description? Ooh, okay, me and Adobe are gonna fight. A purple-haired half-elf outwardly radiating a sense of joy, with a broad smile stretched across their face, in a clover-colored tunic and missing their left arm below the elbow. Okay, something happened. Savaged by a gray-furred bear deep in the forest a mile or so from this outpost, Bagara Donald lost their arm and nearly bled to death. They miraculously survived and made a full recovery, and the outlook they took away from their near-death experiences informed their sense of overall gratefulness at the smallest blessings a given day might bring. Folks in the region wrongly assumed Bagara would need to panhandle forever given their condition, and the moniker beggar took hold. For their part, the one called beggar is anything but. Exceedingly outgoing and incredibly industrious, they are happy to pull an ale or wipe down a table or manage any odd jobs that this outpost presents, just as long as they can earn enough to enjoy the fruits of another day alive. For the insightful. Though this individual goes by beggar, they actually seem like the giving sort. Well, that was useless. Wants and needs. Despite an outwardly positive aspect, Beggar still holds a grudge against the gray bear that took their arm 3 years ago and recently learned it was seen in a cave system near the outpost. Alright. Gives him some motivation. Secret or obstacle. Oh, here's a whole story wrapped around this NPC. The bear in question is actually a druid who has lost all connection with humanity, save their love of human flesh. I can spin a whole one-shot adventure off of this one NPC right here. This is a fun one. Carrying 18 copper pieces, 16 silver pieces, and information about the location of the hoard of a blue dragon. Alrighty. Definitely some good stuff there that we can work with. Alright, who is next? Alrighty. Slick black hair, wearing common work clothes, medium. Humanoid, human, short descriptor, a strong-armed human teen with slicked back black hair, a mustache that carries down to his chin, and a large lump bulging from the side of his neck, wearing common work clothes and carrying a large canvas bag over one shoulder. Born in a part of the realm where any sign of weakness is viewed as a life-threatening liability, Simon Hannigan knew he'd find it tough to be accepted by his community if he didn't double the output of his peers and triple the malice they hurled his way. As the lump on his neck came into view, the first kid who called him goiter got their teeth knocked in. The second lost an eye. After he bloodied the face of an elder who mocked his malady, Simon spent a month doing penance in the temple and began calling himself Goiter just to take away some of the sting. Most who know him understand his value as a worker and sometimes bruiser, but there are still those who occasionally gawk at the size of the lump on his neck. They'll receive lumps of their own in time. For the medically trained. This young man appears to suffer from an enlarged thyroid, which can make it more difficult to swallow or breathe properly, although enlarged thyroids don't typically wriggle. Nice. You're a monster. I'm not the monster here, you are. Goiter would love to be rid of the lump on the side of his neck, but he'd like to know a bit more about the waterfall along the pass between here and yonder town, as it's oozing blood. Oh, lovely. The lump in Goiter's neck is actually a large parasite which has been growing beneath his skin. Soon it will emerge and look for a larger, more powerful host in which to deposit its larvae. Nasty yuck. Carrying 5 copper pieces, 11 silver pieces, and 22 gold pieces, a bag of cleaning supplies, 2 energy bars of his own creation made of figs, flour, and honey, and a parasite known as a burrowing sturge. Distantly related to the standard sturge, the larvae of this creature burrow into the skin of a host through the aerial water supply. The worms curl up in a ball and slowly feed off of the host, growing larger over the course of a few years, at which point they awaken and burst out from underneath the victim's skin, causing 3d12 plus 10 points of damage on a failed DC 15 Constitution saving throw, half damage on a success. The creatures unfurl their wings, deposit their larvae in the nearby water supply, or spray them at an able-bodied host, then die. An adult burrowing sturge is in all other respects like a standard sturge. A victim of a burrowing sturge can be cured with a greater restoration spell, which will destroy the parasitic beast as if it were a disease. Well, that's nasty, because 3d12 plus 10 is going to kill most characters that are 4th level or lower. Because you figure that's 13 to 46 points of damage. That's just nasty. Okay. Let's build us another NPC, shall we? Anga Flint Wielder. Hope she's a dwarf with a name like that. Alright. An older dwarven woman. Uh-oh. lost my page mark. Here we go. Okay. She's going to be a hill dwarf, not just a plain dwarf. Let me get my cursor to go play nice. An older dwarven woman with dark brown skin and black hair shot through with gray, dressed in laborer's clothes and boots. Her extremely long beard, which she clearly has allowed to grow unchecked, is tucked into the front of her leather apron. Anga Flintwielder remembers when these hills were packed with dwarven kin. That time is long past, but she's chosen to stay, in part because she doesn't know anything different. A walking encyclopedia of the region's lore and landscape, she could be an asset to any traveler moving through these parts, provided they don't say anything remotely negative about dwarves. Okay, wants and needs. Anga wants to share her vast knowledge, and the riches she's certain are still hidden in these hills, with a worthy soul. Hopefully one who will carry her knowledge of this land forward to the next generation. Alright, what is Anga carrying? Okay. Secret or obstacle? As a young girl, Anga was taught a rhyme by her mother, which she still remembers, and is prone to dramatically reciting. My eyes have seen what may not be, as prose of legend and line. It waits for you alone and free, through tempest, sand, and wine. Red Barrel alone is not to find, but is a place to start. Insiders be the matron main, it summons from the heart. Beyond the river cairn it lay, the glimmering light of soul, golden home inside yon shaft, by barrel and wagon full. Anga is certain this rhyme is a cryptic series of directions that will lead to the vast brown beater horde. Okay. I'm gonna have fun with that. Wait a minute. I accidentally created a spare that I need to delete. Okay. Sometimes I get a little happy with the clicker. Skinned human in a leather jerkin. Young humanoid with these humans. Let's flag him as neutral evil based on the description. Alright. A bronze-skinned human with close-cropped hair and a tidy beard, wearing a leather jerkin over his beige top and a bright green cap on his head. An orange parrot sits on his shoulder. The wilds are a difficult place to live, and men with scowls like Warland stones make it even less welcoming. If he had a lawn, he'd be yelling at kids to get off it. He has trouble keeping work, even in this area where manpower is at a premium. Whether his temper makes it hard to find work or a lack of work makes him angry is a ponderous question, but most in the area agree it's likely a combination of both. The parent is a recent acquisition and one of Warland's few friends. Warland spends most of his days mired in his grievances, trying to block out the voices from the past and avoiding the riverbed in as many ways as he can. Okay, wants, needs. Warland is a loner, but not by choice and not by fault. There's nothing he'd like more than a family. He had one once, and should fortune favor him with one again, he'd more than welcome it. Okay, secret or obstacle. There's going to be something interesting here. Warland's wife, son, and daughter died tragically during a river crossing a few years back. An incalculable loss he's not truly processed. He's too busy trying to ignore the voice of his wife calling to him each time he goes near the river. Okay. 37 silver pieces, a serrated knife, 30 foot of rope, a leather haversack, 4 days of rations and water, and a bright orange parrot named Phineas, whose voice is eerily similar to Warland's wife's. That's not creepy at all. All right. Gunny Pits. I'm small, but I'm twitchy. Is that a good thing? In this day and age, I don't think twitchy is a good thing. A sandy-haired halfling in fisherman's garb. Small. Okay. Let's read or copy over his short description. A young sandy-haired halfling dressed in fisherman's garb who smells of the sea and walks with a swagger, holding a thick coil of rope over his right shoulder and a bag over his left. He has a thin scar running from his temple to his jaw. A fisherman by trade, Gunny Pitts often takes work on land when the season ends. He's high-spirited and friendly, but also a bit of a carouser with a weakness for wine, women, and more wine. He's never keen to start a fight, but he's never once run away from one, which is why he's gonna head down into the wetlands and settle up with the troll who called him Runt. For the perceptive. It's clear from the way Pitts moves that he's carrying a weapon of some sort secreted inside his jacket, though it's unclear exactly what it might be. Pitts would love nothing more than to own his own fishing boat and captain his own crew. Secret or obstacle? Pitts will have a tough time getting his own boat if he's squashed like a bug into the dirt by an angry troll. Perhaps the slurred and forgotten blood oath to a watery patron he made during a late-night bender a few months past will come into play in memory-jogging fashion. Well, this guy's headed for a fun time. I don't care how you call it. Carrying 24 copper pieces, 30 silver pieces, a stone key, a length of 25 foot of rope, a bag of hardtack, cheese and salted meat, and Pitt's lucky knife, a +1 dagger of giant slaying. Okay. Wilhelmina. Pleasant. What's her one-liner? As my late husband used to say. Dots. Alright, human. It just says a dark-skinned young woman in fine clothes. Medium, humanoid, human. Chaotic evil. And you'll understand why here in just a minute when we put these notes together. A lovely, dark-skinned young woman who is at once radiant yet distant. Her hair pulled back and tied with a leather thong and dressed in finer than expected clothes, given her distance from any city or large town. And here's where you'll figure out why I labeled her as chaotic evil. Wilhelmina Pleasant was, for the first few years of her adult life, a farmer's wife, trapped in an unhappy existence of daily backbreaking labor and abuse, receiving no true affection or respect in return for her efforts. That all changed when a red flower started to bloom on the Pleasant fields. It felt hot to the touch but smelled divine, and Wilhelmina took care to dry it and steep it for tea, an indulgence she tried to hide from her husband Unger. When Unger Pleasant discovered this simple act of individuality, he drank her entire cup of tea in one spiteful swig, wiped his mouth, then dropped stone dead. Wilhelmina told the elders he must have been allergic. They chose to believe her. Wilhelmina soon discovered the truth. The flower itself is poisonous, and she since started growing it for some of the realm's more slippery assassins. Nice. Wilhelmina wishes to keep her flowers safe as they are the main source of her income. Okay, secret or obstacle? Unger Pleasant's family never really bought the idea that he was allergic to red flowers. They've hired an investigator, Constable Don Manchego, with less scruples than Unger to look into his demise. Well, we have a little intrigue story brewing here that we could have just a little one-side side quest with. Carrying 17 silver pieces, 5 gold pieces, a scroll of sending, a small vial of emergency red flower poison, and a small pouch inside her waistcoat. Enough for 3 uses. Red flower poison. Wondrous item. Rare. The red flowers that grow near the pleasant property can be steeped into one of the realm's more deadly toxins. If a creature imbibes a tincture made from the steeped red flower, they must succeed on a DC 18 Constitution saving throw or suffer 10d10 poison damage. The toxin in the red flower leaves the system of a poisoned creature within 24 hours, but leaves their lips stained a telltale red color for up to 7 days. Okay. Alrighty, I think we're just about done with commoners. We have like 2 left on the main spread. So let me go ahead and get them in here. Let's see how we're doing. Carla the Slight Faint. Watch closely, love. This one's going to be a fun one just by the short descriptor. A kobold in a plain frock. Okay. Okay, my selector is acting stupid now. Tells me it's just about time to quit this for the evening because Adobe starts getting dumb. It doesn't want to let you copy paste without doing weird things. A middle-aged kobold woman in a plain frock and good shoes. She appears to be fit and trim with short red hair that frames her face and accents her startling light blue eyes. She carries a deck of cards in a clawed hand. Carla Faint is a wanderer, recently run out of the last sizable town she lived in. She is a card shark and con artist. Her specialty is 3-card Monty. She's happy to take on anyone at any time and will put down whatever she's doing in order to accommodate. She's got big-time talent but can't seem to gain the respect of actual criminals, and as such has yet to strike it rich as a con. She settles for the tips she receives as a backroom dealer once a week at a spot called The Shed. Wants and needs. Holding a regular day job, though she'll do it when she has to, is simply no fun. Carla is looking for her first big score. She just needs a little muscle to back her up. Okay. We have a for the perceptive. We need a copy over. Carla absent-mindedly juggles and cuts the deck with one hand without looking at it, suggesting a high degree of proficiency with cards. Carla was born lucky, and while her confidence is inspiring, she's never truly been tested. Her scheme to impersonate the escorts for a shipment of dwarven cast-offs, the broken bits chopped off large gems in the refining process, could net her and her associates quite a bit of coin, but the Legion who accompany the shipment have papers she's not yet been able to forge. And she is carrying 21 silver pieces, 22 gold pieces, leather shoes crafted for a quick getaway, a deck of cards, and contact info for a man who can fence hot gemstones. Carla's 3-card Monty. Played like the standard game, but almost impossible to win. Carla is so proficient at the game, a dexterity check is unnecessary. In order to win against Carla, a creature must succeed on a DC 25 wisdom check. If Carla suspects her opponent will succeed, she will unconsciously expend a luck point to try and change the outcome of their original check. Alrighty. Who is last in this section? Artemis Chubbs Nargonth. An exceptionally gaunt man. Reading his description, it's kind of sad. Born with the gift and possibly curse of true sight, Artemis Narganth had a childhood filled with visions of incessant death and ghastly cruelty at every turn. The ability to see all manner of ghosts, specters, and haunts terrified Artemis, and he spent much of his adolescence searching for a cure. Thus far, the only things that seem to work are excising himself fully from areas where ghosts are known to roam, and a dense, chewy concoction of his own design, which he calls taffy. It smells like tar, but does keep his vision on this plane and keeps Chubbs thin. Wants and needs. And we have it for the perceptive. Alrighty. The one called Chubbs watches everything that passes before his eyes as if he can see into the ethereal plane. Perhaps he can. Secret or obstacle. Taffy, Chubbs' blend of proprietary blend of tree sap, spider venom, snake oil, and vanilla extract is slowly killing him. Carrying 7 silver pieces, a small bag with a lump he could cut into 17 pieces of taffy, and a small knife and a tiny balance. Yeah, let's see. He is our last NPC in this section, so I'm going to wrap it up after we get him done. But hey, let's go ahead and get taffy put in here. This is a wondrous item. It is rare. Okay. A 10-minute chew on taffy offers a creature advantage on all ability checks for 1 hour, as their focus on the prime material plane blocks out interference from any other plane, including the ethereal, astral, and elemental. This drug negates true sight and devil sight. Any creature ingesting taffy must succeed on a DC 15 Constitution saving throw or be poisoned. After using taffy, a creature must succeed on a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, they desire only more taffy. A creature using taffy more than once per day will permanently lose 1 hit point from their max HP each day until they die. Well, that's just morbid. It's either going to kill you or it's going to addict you to it and kill you eventually. Alright. Well, that wraps up all of the outskirts and outpost commoners. Next is going to be nobles and leaders, which I'm going to save for the next time I'm doing this, when I have to do a pinch fill-in stream. So, but let me take a look at that. There's 13 of them, so you're definitely dealing with less in the terms of nobles and leaders than you are common folk. But hey, it is what it is. That's kind of to be expected, right? But this also gets me more than halfway through this book. So at this point, bank-wise, I've got close to almost 400 NPCs in the book, so probably close to about 350, 375, maybe close to 400. I'd have to look. But thanks for tuning in tonight. For those of you who tuned in and sat here listening to me talk my way through all these NPCs, appreciate it, because I'm trying to build up my my average views. And as always, have a good evening, and we will see you next time. It'll be Monday evening. I'll be doing some sci-fi work with Traveler and Starfinder to continue some development there for a sci-fi game. Have a great rest of your evening, and we will see you next time.